Welcome to the Same Side Selling Podcast. I'm your host, Ian Altman. So you walk into a store and the helpful yet ambitious clerk asks, "May I help you?" How do you typically respond? Well, if you're like most bipeds, you typically respond by saying, "No thanks, just looking." And why is that? Why do we do that? The person was just kind enough to ask if they could help us, and we basically said, "No, get the heck away from me." Well, the reason why is that we've been conditioned that when somebody shows up and looks and sounds and acts like a salesperson, that they are not looking out for our interest. They are only looking out for their own interest. And so human nature has taught us that these people can't be trusted and we want to avoid them at all costs. And so whenever we meet somebody for the first time, my buddy Mark Bowden, who is one of the world's foremost authorities on nonverbal communication and body language, what he's taught me is that your brain is instantly evaluating, is this person a potential threat, or are they someone who might be able to help me? And we've been taught to believe that the person who shows up and acts like a salesperson cannot be trusted. When that happens, our brain says, be shut down and guarded, don't share information because this person's going to try to exploit that. So it's not your fault, but what we need to recognize is that there are three personas in the world of sales. You have an order taker, you have a salesperson, and you have a subject matter expert. Now, the order taker is the person who the client knows exactly what they want. All they're looking to you for is how much is it and when can you deliver it. The salesperson believes their job is to sell whatever it is they have to sell, whether the client needs it or not. And the subject matter expert is the person the client would actually pay to speak with if that's what it took to tap into their expertise. So the first thing you have to do when it comes to cold outreach, the first thing you have to do when it comes to a networking event, the first thing you have to do when you have that initial interaction is to disarm the notion that you are just there to sell something. Because history will teach us that if you show up like someone there to sell something, you're not going to build trust, and people are basically going to say, "No thanks, just looking." Disarming means that you're looking at things in the long run, not looking for the quick hit. So what it means is that you want to be seen as a subject matter expert. That subject matter expert is the person who never feels like they're selling anything. It's the person in the professional services firm, let's say an accounting firm, you say, "Oh, that person's a genius on this type of tax situation. I have that type of situation. I want to talk to them." Well, guess what? If you're not a client, you're reaching out to talk to them because they have expertise. Your intention is to hire them if they'll take you on as a client. So they just will have sold something, but you didn't feel like you were being sold to. And if you can come across as that subject matter expert, then you will outperform the competition every time and never feel like you are actually selling anything. So how do we do that? Well, what we do is we start focusing on things that we might spot in the industry. So instead of reaching out to someone saying, "Hey, I'd love to talk to you about our company and our products, our company and our services," you might reach out and say, "We work with a lot of people in your industry, specifically in your role, and there are 2 or 3 trends we've spotted lately. I'm curious as to whether or not you're spotting any of these same things. You might not have a need for what we do in the next week, month, or year, but I'm always trying to put our finger on the pulse of what other people are seeing in the industry, or is it just us? We work with about 300 different companies in your same space, and just because we're seeing these trends with them doesn't mean that it's everywhere. Would you mind if I shared a few of those with you? You can tell me whether or not those are relevant." Well, now what I'm doing is I'm establishing that we've got expertise. We work with a bunch of people in their same space. We're spotting trends. Who spots trends? Well, subject matter experts spot trends. Salespeople don't spot trends. Salespeople might spot sales opportunities, but not trends. So I'm immediately positioning myself as a subject matter expert. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be with cold outreach. I might use LinkedIn and post on LinkedIn, "Here are some trends we're seeing. Which of these do you think is most prevalent of these 3? And now your contact starts selecting which one in that poll. And now you get insight from them. You're demonstrating your expertise. Now, 2 weeks later, you can say, "Here are the results of our poll." 84% of the people feel that they're having the same issue that we've been spotting elsewhere. Here are a couple ways that we've seen people successfully address those issues. Now the people in your network say, wow, they shared these trends. The marketplace validated it. And now they're giving guidance on how to solve that. Well, I'd like to solve that too. Maybe I should reach out to them. The bottom line of all this is that we need to make sure that we're showing up to solve, not showing up to sell. And I know it sounds counterintuitive, but the worst thing you can do as someone trying to sell something is make it look like you're there to sell something. But if you take genuine interest in focusing on the people you can help the most, if you take a genuine interest in how can you solve major issues for clients, you'll grow tremendously. Your sales cycles will shorten, and your clients will say, oh, this person's a great expert. They're a great resource, even though you may have a responsibility for ultimately selling something. Please feel free to like and share this episode with other people. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. And of course, if there are any topics that you think would be helpful, drop me a note to ian@ianaltman.com. I will see you next week on the Same Side Selling Podcast. So long.